This is the Practical Homeopathy Podcast, episode number 68.
Each day from my office, I get to see how homeopathy is transforming lives all over the globe, and I want to share them with you. Some of my students have really caught my eye. Some of you have done all you can to learn how to cure those around you using homeopathic medicines, and your successes inspire me. They're glorious and powerful, and I can't keep these successes a secret any longer. So, with help from my roving reporters, we bring you a mini podcast series that I call Moms with Moxie, and sometimes we even interview dads with Audacity. See how regular mothers and others, average people who want to cure those around them, have gone from freaking to fabulous with homeopathy.
Hi, this is Kate, and I'm here with Kelly, who is a study group enthusiast, I guess I would call her. She is excited about study groups and homeopathy, and I think you're really going to enjoy hearing from her and her experience with the Gateway to Homeopathy study groups, and also the experiences that she's had with homeopathy and how she's been helping her friends and spreading the word. So welcome, Kelly.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, Kelly, tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe where you're from, and a little bit about your family.
Okay, I grew up in West Virginia, and I live in the Shenandoah Valley in Virginia right now, and I've been married for 37 years. We have 2 grown sons who are both married with 4 grandchildren and another one on the way. I work part-time with family back in West Virginia, so I enjoy going back home to see family, and it's just a nice change of pace for me to be able to not have a 9-to-5, 5-day-a-week job.
Okay, so I have to ask, when you said Shenandoah, that song came to mind. Do you remember that old song? It talks about the Shenandoah River. Is there a river there?
Yes, there is.
Maybe I'm just really old. I don't know who's going to know what song I'm talking about.
Well, I think I'm a little older than you, but yeah, there is the Shenandoah River here. Yes.
Nice. Okay, so why don't you give us a little bit of background as far as how you came to hear about Joette and the Gateway to Homeopathy study groups?
Okay. I've kind of been on a journey for about the last 15 years, and I've been introduced to different type of natural things. And the first one was like food and trying to make a change in our diets. And of course, then I went through the essential oil phase where I was concerned a lot about natural things and what I put on my skin and cleaned with and different things like that. And so I kind of had these 2 pieces to this stool, but I needed a third piece. And when I was introduced to homeopathy, my sister actually, she invited me to a documentary, and it was called Just One Drop. And that was actually 1 year ago in January of 2018. She says, oh, my doctor recommended it's some kind of natural type of health care, and I was like, oh, I'm all over that.
So her doctor recommended Just One Drop? What kind of doctor is this?
He's a more integrative type doctor. He tries to use natural things, supplements, different kinds of modalities and therapies, but he's not big into using traditional medicine. I guess more like an integrative doctor.
Okay, well, good. That's exciting that a doctor recommended that.
Yeah, and a matter of fact, he invited 2 other doctors from the area. We had a Q&A after the documentary.
Wow, that's exciting.
It was very exciting. And so that was a year ago. I had never really heard about homeopathy.
So you went to see this movie, never heard of homeopathy, you learned about it, and then you were intrigued.
That's exactly what happened. So I just kind of sat on it for about a month or 2. And then I went to visit a friend. And this is a friend who I've known for years and years, and she's very into the same things I am, the same kind of dense nutrition, essential oils. I mean, we were all on the same page. I said, have you heard of homeopathy? And she goes, I'm glad you asked that. She goes, I have this kit in my closet, and I've just kind of started using it. I said, well, can I see what it looks like? So she brings out the 100 remedy kit. And then she goes, I've been listening to this homeopath. I said, well, who is it? And she goes, it's Joette. And she goes, she has the best website. She gives tons of free information. So I wrote her name down because I couldn't quite figure out how to come up with it. Joette Calabrese. It's a little different, but she has a very catchy name.
Yes. So you went and you did some investigation on the website?
Oh, yeah. My friend said that she has lots of free information. She goes, read her blog post, look at podcasts. So that's what I did. And then I saw, she had these study groups. So I'm talking back and forth with my friend, we should do one of these. We should do one of these. And then I started talking with some of the neighbors, and many of them are kind of frustrated with traditional medicine and are trying to look for more natural type of options.
So it was all friends and neighbors that you knew, that you spread the word and they were interested and you asked them to join. And were you the leader of that study group?
Yes.
That's so great. You're just learning. I love this because I always say that you don't have to be an expert to lead a study group. Anybody can do it. So I think that's fantastic that you jumped right in.
Yeah, I was a little nervous because I knew nothing. I felt unprepared. But I tell you what, I was stocking up on remedies already. We started our Gateway 1 in August. So between March and August, I get the 100 remedy kit. I ordered it from Joette's website so I could get all the other information that's so helpful to have. So I'm sharing it with the neighbors and my daughter-in-law who lives about 10 minutes away. So I'm reeling all these people in, we got to get ready. We got to do this class. Go to the website, sign up. And so we get this group of women together. There's 9 of us.
9. Wow.
Yeah, it was a nice size class.
Yes.
And we started in August, and this was before she had Gateway 2 ready.
Okay.
So we're going through this, and we were having a lot of success stories, people sharing, especially with a few of the women who had actually used some homeopathic remedies and were using it more and more in their families. And we had a lot of healthcare people in our class, like a nurse practitioner, a dental hygienist, some dental assistants. So we had some people who knew the medical field much better than I did because I had really no introduction to anything except for what I have read and taught myself.
Well, that's a great mix of people. I think that's super helpful when you have people in the medical profession because they bring a whole different perspective to it. So, yeah.
You're exactly right. And they come from more of a traditional standpoint. That's a whole different paradigm or way you're looking at stuff.
Isn't that exciting? I have a lot of medical professionals in my Gateway group right now, and it gives me great hope that the medical professionals are starting to look at alternative solutions to the allopathic medicines.
I think it's wonderful, and to give these professionals options to help patients who are looking for something more natural is a great idea. The interesting thing about it is we had a nice range in age from like young mothers to retired people almost.
You have the wisdom of those who are older and then the younger people to bring the fresh perspective. And what a great mix for your group.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. And when we were finishing up the course, that's when Joette's email went out about Gateway 2. And so we're like, oh my goodness, we need to do Gateway 2. And it was a lot of fun having my daughter-in-law in the class because she's got 2 young kids. So it's like, oh, let's try this on them. It's a learning experience, and it's a whole different way to think about treating diseases, acute and chronic. The women are very open to it, and they were excited to start using homeopathy and integrating it into their families. And we just had a lot of fun learning together, and then each week coming back, and we would always have a time of sharing, just listening to their success stories or where they shared it with another family member.
I think that's an important part of the groups is to take that time to hear from people what they're doing and what they found success with. Just like you said, it's so helpful to everyone else in the group to hear those stories and learn from all those successes.
The nice thing about it was if you had a situation, you had a quick answer. Like we would be texting or emailing back and forth, what do you think about this? Or what would you use for this? And it was just a nice sounding board to have that group of women together to do that on.
So how did you guys stay connected? Was it with text message group or was it emails, or how did you stay connected?
We did both. The thing about several of the women, they are right across the street from me, and then my daughter-in-law is 10 minutes away. The furthest person was 40 minutes away. So it was phone calls and text was probably the best way we stayed in touch with each other because we're all local.
Okay. And your daughter-in-law went on to start her own study groups, right?
Yes, we finished Gateway 2, and she put out a little blurb, and she got a lot of response from that. And so she kind of narrowed it down and got a group of ladies, and we just started Gateway 1 with her group. We just started in January. We're meeting at her house, and there's 8 people in that group.
You guys are really expanding, getting...
Oh, yeah. It's exciting to see other women get excited about homeopathy. Mm-hmm. And so we're not even through 3 of the classes. And they're like, oh, are we doing Gateway 2?
I guess you are.
Yeah. So I said, we'll be happy to.
All right. Now you have to share with us a name that you've come up with for your study group women.
Oh, okay. So I was just thinking about Joette's book, Gateway to Homeopathy 1 and Gateway to Homeopathy 2. And when I would email the girls, I'm like, I don't want to just say, hey, or whatever. So I came up with this little thing that I was going to call the girls the Gateway Gals.
So you guys have dubbed yourselves the Gateway Gals. I love it.
It's kind of catchy.
Joette's Gateway Gals. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you told her she loved that too.
Yeah.
So Kelly, besides the Gateway groups, what else have you done to continue your study of homeopathy?
So what I've tried to do is read a lot more information, and I have spent a lot of time on Joette's site because she just is so generous and kind to share a lot of what she has learned. And one of the things we found out in the group was that the girls would continue to be frustrated in finding what they needed quickly, because oftentimes you have these acute conditions and they don't have time to look. So I decided I would spend evenings and weekends on Joette's website reading every one of her blogs and every one of her podcasts to get every one of her cards.
That is commitment, Kelly. That's a lot. That is a course in itself, right?
Oh, yeah. And see, you learn so much more doing that. So I was, reading the blogs, and not in depth, but it was like, oh, wow, I could use that. Oh, gosh, that's helpful. And so I was printing out all these cards. So I would spend a couple hours at night or on the weekend. And over the course of our Gateway 1 and 2, I had accumulated 300 remedy cards.
Wow.
Yeah. So then I took them into a printer and got him to format them. And here, let me show you one so you get an idea.
That's beautiful.
And then I had him add lines because we want to take notes about our stuff.
And you could write down different situations that you've used the remedy, or just different information on the remedy itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's really nice is if you found it worked for a certain family member or something, you can jot it down on that card. The girls were super excited about the cards. Mm-hmm. So I got them printed and we got them all handed out. And the other thing we did is we categorized them into acute and chronic so we could pull out what we needed quicker. And then we pulled all the pregnancy ones out and made them a category unto themselves.
Oh, good idea. I was just going to ask you, how do you store those remedy cards?
We bought little binders.
Since those of you listening can't see what she's showing me, can you explain them a little bit?
So the cards are printed out and then formatted. The remedy section is at the top with lines underneath, then a 3-hole punch, and then we can store them in little hardcover binders.
Okay, so just a 3-ring binder, basically.
Yeah, a smaller one because the big 8.5 by 11 was too big, and we just felt that the 6 by 9 would work better.
Okay, and so you have them in there according to categories, and then in those categories you have them alphabetized, I would assume?
That's correct, exactly.
That's a great tip. Thank you for sharing that with
Oh,
us.
and then the other thing you're going to want to do is make a blank one, because what you'll find out is when you're going through Gateway 1 and 2, there might be something in there that's not on the card. Or when you're taking one of the classes, you're going to find out stuff that, wow, that's not in any of my remedy cards. I want to write that down. And you can just add it, throw it in alphabetically based on acute or chronic.
I would love to hear your successes with homeopathy, how you're using it, how your friends are using homeopathy, and what you're finding.
Okay, so we have some really cool things that happened with our group. One of the most exciting things is I have a cousin that doesn't live around here, but I started sharing it with her, and she jumped on it quick. She was all about it. And in the course of talking to her, now this is before we've even started Gateway 1. I'm talking homeopathy with her. And she has a disease called polymyalgia.
What is polymyalgia?
It's a condition where you have severe pain in your shoulders and hips. And she was having a tremendous amount of pain. She was just basically eating Motrin and nothing was touching it. And her doctor's only recourse was steroids or prednisone.
Right.
Which she says I'm not taking. So she was like, if you got anything that'll help me, let me know. This is another thing that's great about Joette's post. I got on there and I had just read about fibromyalgia. I said, polymyalgia, fibromyalgia, oh, they kind of have the same ending. And when I was reading through some of Joette's posts, I heard her talk about fibromyalgia. And I thought, well, that's the place I'm going to start. So I went back there, and it's often helpful to read through comments at the bottom. People ask questions and she may or may not respond, but I was like, oh, well, I'll try it.
Yeah.
I'll get down to the bottom and I type this little response trying to fish for some info. If someone has a condition of polymyalgia, would the same protocol for fibromyalgia be helpful? And so I waited. I thought this is going to take days, but you know what? It was a gift from the Lord, because I tell you what, 30 minutes later, I get this yes with exclamation points.
Oh my gosh, you had your answer that fast.
Yes, she must have just been looking at the right place at the right time. So then I asked another question. Maybe I'll get an answer pretty quick, because she was having such severe pain. It was very hard to sleep. So I thought, if you're having tremendous amount of pain, can you add hypericum into the protocol? And it wasn't long, and I get, yes, you may use the remedies together. Okay. So I send her stuff because she doesn't really have anything. So I send her some stuff. And she gets it, and she starts on a Friday. Whenever it gets there, I do her the Camphor 200 one day, start your protocol the next day. And I've yet to have a class. This is all from just reading Joette's stuff.
Okay.
So I wait 3 days, I hear nothing. So on the fourth day, I was like, I got to know if it's helping.
Curiosity.
Well, it is, because she was really in severe pain to the point where she couldn't sleep. So I called her. I said, how are you doing? She goes, I don't want to say. I said, are you okay? She goes, I don't want to jinx it. I said, so that's good? She said, you won't believe it. I took the stuff the first day and I slept. It was the first time in so long that I didn't have pain when I went to bed.
Oh, that's great.
And so she's been on it, for about, 5 months or so, 5 or 6 months. And she's had incredible results.
Hey, good work. Good detective work. And all you did, like you said, was read the blogs and study the information that Joette has for free.
Exactly. And the other thing is, and I'm sure Joette, I know she talks about this, where a lot of the remedies for one condition will also help with something else. Well, the polymyalgia was so severe, her arthritis was kind of not in the forefront. But lo and behold, it's helping with that condition as well, and it's the same protocol.
Nice. Wow. I just think that's so great that you are helping people and you're really digging deep to try to get all this information and using it for the benefit of so many others. That's great. So give us some more stories about using homeopathy.
I actually broke my foot at this cousin's house, which was bizarre. And I had a lot of pain and some swelling, and just thought, well, I'm just going to take arnica. And I thought, well, I'm going to add ruta into that. So I walked around on it for 3 days and thought, I better get an x-ray. We're going to be heading out to another place, doing a lot of walking and different things. So I better find out, did I sprain it? Did I break it? What's going on? So we go to the doctor, and lo and behold, I have kind of like a spiral twist break on my 5th metatarsal on my foot.
Oh, wow.
So the nurse is so funny. She goes, oh my goodness, what can I get you for pain? What do you need? I said, I'm fine. I don't really need anything. She goes, oh, but your foot's broken. You need something. I said, no, I really don't. And all I've been taking was arnica and the ruta. And that's all I continued to take over the next several week or so till the pain calmed down. And then that was all I used through the rest of the fracture till it healed.
Yeah, I think that's super funny. The same thing happened to me when I broke my arm. They kept asking me if I wanted pain meds. I kept saying, no, I'm good. I'm good.
Yeah, they were really trying to get me to take something. Then they're going, well, you absolutely have to take ibuprofen or something for the swelling and the inflammation. You really need that. I said, well, I'll think about it, but
Right.
Yeah, it just kind of pushed it off to the wayside. Yeah. And then one other really great story happened to my sister, the one that introduced me to homeopathy. She's in our Gateway 1 class now. So she's in the one with my daughter-in-law, where we're going through like aconite and arnica and several other remedies. She just had been reading that the day before. She fell off of a bar stool onto the ground and hit her head and busted her knuckle and twisted her knee and
Wow.
banged up her shin with a goose egg. I mean, she just completely had a huge fall. And she just read this in the book. She knew to take aconite first.
Mm-hmm.
And then she followed that up with arnica. And she calls me. She goes, what do I do? This is what happened. I said, well, you did the right thing. She goes, it was just in the book. And so I said, well, so let's continue with this. And I told her, let's stick with the arnica. And she was still a little jittery and upset. So she had another aconite dose in there. And then later that night, her neck and stuff became stiff. So we added in some Rhus tox. And the next day we were together at a birthday party. And she goes, look at this. You won't even believe it. The knuckle that she banged up was swollen in black and blue. And in one day, there was no discoloration and there was no swelling. Her knee looked so much better. And the knot on her shin had calmed down. I mean, it was amazing.
That's great. And what a timing that she just learned about those things.
Yeah, that was what was so amazing.
Well, good. Aconite is great for shocky situations. So that's wonderful. Okay, so Kelly, you mentioned that you went through all of the blogs and podcasts and really studied those and printed out the remedy cards. And you're also taking now one of Joette's courses, right?
Correct. The first class that we had, the girls in that group, several of us, after we finished Gateway 2, went ahead and decided to take some of Joette's courses.
So you all are doing courses right now, and you are also starting another Gateway 1 group. You said you're going through that, and you're just continuing to learn together, and that's great. I love it.
So what we've decided to do is the first group is we're going to have a little reunion next month and get together. So we'll get together and chat about what we're learning and, just success stories, and we're going to put our books together a little bit better. So things like that, and just a chance to share and touch base.
And you have a little surprise for them planned?
Yes, I do. I get kind of excited about homeopathy, and I kind of think of ways, oh gosh, how can we share homeopathy and people be interested in it in a very casual setting? So what I decided was to make mugs for all the girls. It's got a homeopathic symbol on it, with our little name called the Gateway Gals.
If you guys could see it, it's so cute. Maybe we'll put a picture after the podcast so you can all see it. They're so cute. And you have something else that you showed me.
Yes. So I was trying to find a way where I could be out in public and have something that would maybe be a conversation starter. So I also had a shirt made that says Gateway Gal. Right.
Aw, that's great. I love it. It's super cute. You are so good at sharing about homeopathy, I feel. You told me a story about how you shared with someone at the airport. Can you tell the listeners about that?
Right. So my husband and I were going on a cruise, and I was like, I'm not going without my remedies.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to put them in my carry-on. So when we went through airport security, it went underneath the scanner thing. And next thing you know, I'm being pulled to the side, and this woman has decided to look into my carry-on. So I'm over there talking with her, and she opens up my suitcase and she sees this little box of stuff. So she's got her little stick there, and she goes, now, is it okay if I open that? I said, sure. And so she opens it up and she says, well, what is this? I said, well, that's my homeopathic remedies. And she said, well, what is that? I said, well, this is a way that you can use natural medicine to help your body heal and restore itself when you have situations where you might be sick or you have something you're struggling with. And she said, well, I've never heard of that. Yeah, it's great. I said, there's no side effects. It's not addictive. I said, you can take it with other medicines. She goes, well, I need some of that. I said, you should really learn about it. She goes, well, I think I'm going to. She was so funny. She was all excited. Yeah.
I've had that happen as well at the airport where they didn't know about it and then they were very interested in finding out more. So yeah, another great way to share homeopathy.
The interesting thing I find out is people, and even myself, as much stuff as I have read over the years and looked for things, I never came across homeopathy.
I know. Why is that?
I don't know. And I was like, this is the third leg to my stool, and I feel pretty steady now.
You have all your tools.
Exactly. That's exactly right. It is a tool in your toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. It trumps. Like I used to say, I got an oil for this. Now I say, I got a remedy for this.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's so powerful.
Yeah.
Well, Kelly, thank you for sharing your enthusiasm for homeopathy and the ways that you've used homeopathy and how you run your study groups. I think it's pretty exciting what you've done. So what advice do you have, Kelly, for those of people who are just getting started with homeopathy or wanting to start using it, take a study group, things like that?
I think one of the best places to start is taking Gateway 1 that Joette has to offer, and also getting on her website and starting to read through some of the information that she has there, and getting your 100 remedy kit. It is really important to have that at your disposal, because as you get into Gateway 1 and you start learning, you're going to need to have those remedies on hand. Then the next thing I would do would be trying to find a group of ladies that you have that common ground with, that you can have those conversations back and forth and just share what you're learning or what you've had success with, and just encouraging that relationship. And then when you've kind of finished your course, I would highly recommend taking one of Joette's classes. It's incredibly informative. You do have to pace yourself. There's a lot of information. And then maybe getting back with some of your friends and just talking and sharing and getting back on Joette's website. It's always kind of just read the stuff she puts out there. I kind of call myself the Joette junkie. She makes it easy to understand. Her style of teaching is easy to follow. She's so generous with her information, and having that camaraderie with other women makes just everything work out well together.
Mm-hmm.
Just using it, that's the thing, and not to be afraid of it, to respect it because it is medicine, but not to be afraid of it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Because it is so powerful, and it's amazing when you hit the mark and you see such improvement. It empowers you as a mom, as a grandmother, as a friend. You just have that confidence. It starts to build your confidence, and then it just moves on from there.
Oh, good words, Kelly. Thank you for your tips and sharing with us today.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm happy to do it. I'm excited about homeopathy and where it's going to go in the future, and who you can share it with.
You just listened to a podcast from practicalhomeopathy.com, where nationally certified homeopath, public speaker, and author Joette Calabrese shares her passion for helping families stay strong through homeopathy. Joette's podcasts are available on iTunes, Google Play, Blueberry, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio. Thank you for listening to this podcast with Joette Calabrese. To learn more and find out if homeopathy is a good fit in your health strategy, visit practicalhomeopathy.com.